Well, in this era of 24/7 constant communication, anyone working in government, part of their work really, either directly or indirectly, is communication. That could be communicating internally in the department or the agency that they work in with colleagues and keeping them up to date and apprising them of what's happening by way of policy or change. It's quite likely to mean communicating with the agency or department head, so that's not public communication, it's internal communication. Communication with ministerial advisors and those around the minister, communication with the minister directly. So that's inside the government agency. But then there's the outside audiences, and that's why we call it managing public communication. So they may be stakeholders, they may be people with a direct involvement in the policy issue that's being transacted, or they may be members of the public or members of the media. Now, it strikes me that if you're in government for long enough, you're going to encounter the need to actually understand the concepts that apply to effective public communication and also get more used to some of the practice issues. And that's what we try to do in this program. Well, there are two main streams. One is concepts around persuasive communication, risk communication. For example, we look at the communication of scientific and public health information and the difficulties of doing that, of actually being able to do that in a comprehensible way to the public. And we also look at issues like behavioural change. So behavioural change might be, there are so many efforts these days at behavioural change, like improving driving behaviour on the roads, reducing the road toll, the handling of HIV/AIDS, for example, is a behavioural change issue. But so is actually, at the end of the day, getting people to honestly pay their taxes. All these things involve behavioural change in communication. So we look at those sort of broad subject areas conceptually, but also with the use of case studies. And one of the streams that we've added in the last couple of years to this program is public engagement. Because government's being held more to accountability standards, and there's a need for transparency and a need for not just telling people what they've got to do, but actually involving people in the decision-making process itself. There's much to be learned about government engaging with the public in forums and the like, and through community outreach. So that's another stream that we've added to the broad mix of managing public communication. Well, the new media is a bewildering challenge for anyone in the public sector to actually come to grips with. The directions of the new media are fascinating. So we have a special guest presenter, Ross Monaghan from Deakin University, who's going to take us through some of the emerging trends in new media. But we're also quite interested in social media. To what extent social media being interaction with a two-way process of communication. So rather than just sending out a message, you're actually hearing messages from the public as well. And we're going to do some experimentation around the use of social media in the course itself. So it's a hands-on opportunity for people to get a bit more used to social media things in a fairly basic way, like the use of wikis, the use of Twitter and the like. So we're going to have some fun doing that, but it will be integrated into the two-day program. If you've got any direct involvement with public communication in a broad sense, that is communication with the outside world, with stakeholders, with the public, with the media, but also if you're communicating as part of your job with the Minister's office, with your heads of department, or if you've got internal communication roles, you should come along. Even if you're not involved in that now, I'll guarantee at some stage pretty soon you will be. So it will give you an opportunity to look at concepts around public communication to make you a better public communicator because you'll be intellectually more geared up, but also practice. And it's very much in the ANZSOG spirit of a community of learning. I've worked for the ABC, but I've never worked for a public sector organisation, and so I need the input of people to hear their shared knowledge as experts in their own field, where I take on the role as facilitator to actually get people to share with each other what they already know. I think an understanding of strategy. Communication is very much part of the strategic task of government, of getting things done, of getting things understood, of being able to adjust in response to input that government itself is getting from the public, to understand the concepts of actually how this works, to be geared up intellectually to actually deal with the communication challenge, I think is one of the key tasks of any skill-based improvement, any learning-based improvement that's possible as someone works their way through their career. So whether you're at the early stages of actually embracing these needs or you're working on them every day, thinking about these issues in a conceptual sense will improve your practice. And that's why I'd recommend anyone involved in communication or likely to be involved in communication at whatever level thinks hard about attending this course.